Hey, hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. A foundation helping today's youth avoid the struggles and heartache of addiction makes great strides in our community. And get ready for some summertime fun as we tell you about some upcoming events you may want to put on your calendar. Here to discuss all of this and a whole lot more is the councilwoman who represents Ward 6. It's Nancy Brune. Welcome back to the program. How are you?
Great, David.
It's good to see you again. 6
good
weeks.
To see you.
It goes by quickly.
Yes, it does. When you're having fun, right?
I know you are. You've been very busy. I joined the City Council in December, and you've hit the ground running since then. We said you represent Ward 6. Yep. You know that area very well. Those of you out there not exactly sure where Ward 6 is located, well, don't worry. We're going to show you right on the map, right at the top of the valley there. Fast-growing area. If you live in that area or work in that area, then of course you're in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And if you're a resident out there, you are represented by Nancy Brune. And joining us today is former Las Vegas Raider and currently tight end for the New York Giants, Darren Waller. He's here to discuss his journey with addiction and how he turned his struggle and recovery into a foundation to give youth and their families the tools they need to avoid and overcome addictions to drugs and alcohol. Thanks so much for being here. And Darren, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the program today. A lot of us were heartbroken when you went to the Giants, but you still have a lot of fans in Las Vegas, including Councilwoman Nancy Brune, and not for your work on the field only, but for your work off the field, right, Councilwoman?
Yep. Well, so as you know from the last program, David, we talked about the opioid crisis here in our valley and just the number of overdoses and the number of fentanyl-related deaths, especially among our young people. And so, you know, we really want to have a preventative public approach to that problem. And so talking about addiction and recovery is so critical to the recovery for our community. So I'm really thrilled to have Darren Waller, who most people don't know, he actually started his own foundation, the Darren Waller Foundation. The goal is to equip young people and their families to avoid substance abuse, addiction, but then also help them get to recovery and treatment so that they can have second chances and move on. So really excited to be able to have everyone in our community learn about the amazing work that you're doing and talk about your own experience and some of the things that you've seen.
Yeah, Darren, why don't you start there? I think, tell us about your own story, where it began. You've obviously had an amazing journey, a difficult one at times. Why don't you begin there? Tell us a little bit about your own experience and give us some of that perspective.
Yeah, things started for me. I grew up in Metro Atlanta, Georgia, and I started with painkillers when I was 15 years old, and it was something that I was never like, I always wanted to not do drugs or alcohol, but I reached a point in my life where I just wanted to feel better. I wanted to not think these anxious thoughts all the time, and so that's what drew me to the substance. When a friend offered it to me and I took it, it was like, wow, this is the peace I had been looking for. And I clung to that and instantly became addicted, but not knowing the ride it would take me on. And so 10 years later, I was almost a fentanyl-related death statistic. And but luckily for me, by the grace of God, I'm still here, and I still have an opportunity to share my strength and experience and hope of not only returning to the NFL, but just the internal battle and the internal struggle to live a sober life and to just work towards being the best person that I could be. I try to just share some of the things that I've gone through with other people so maybe they can navigate some of those things, some of those pitfalls I fell into.
Darren, start there. That's interesting. Did you take the painkillers because you were dealing with pain, or there was some other issue that you were facing? That's an interesting comment that you made there.
I would say it's like two-sided. You know, it was offered to me, and I was somebody that wanted to please people, wanted to do what certain people were doing, and at the same time, it was offered to me in a way that it would make you feel good. And up to that point in my life, I was like, I don't necessarily feel good. I feel so much pressure on myself. I feel like I'm not doing great in sports. I really don't feel like I'm really thriving socially. So yeah, I'd like to feel good, and I tried it. So it kind of killed two birds with one stone, just my internal warfare that was starting to go on, and also just the social aspect of wanting to be around people and form friendships.
You mentioned this, Councilwoman had mentioned this. You had a very close call with fentanyl yourself and how dangerous that can be. And we've talked about that on this program, about the dangers of fentanyl and just how deadly it's been, especially in our community.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's all over the streets. You never know, a pill you could pick up could be a lethal dose. You know, I was just going and I was well into my addiction. I was just going to pick up what I regularly picked up on a pretty much daily basis. And that day it was something that wasn't what I was looking for. And you have no control over that. A lot of people think, when you're using that you have a lot of control over things and like I can keep this under control. My life isn't necessarily falling apart, but you have no control over this substance and how rampant it's becoming in communities everywhere.
Yeah. Well, in the last program, we actually showed that the fentanyl-related overdoses are growing and affecting every single zip code in Las Vegas. And one statistic we just heard is that teens in Nevada are actually 23% more likely or have used drugs more than their national peers. Like whether it be marijuana
it's an alarming
or
statistic.
meth, and so drug use here among teens is even higher than the young people in other states. So it's a real issue here.
Darren, I think one of the things that we also see here in Las Vegas, and this is one of the things that Councilwoman has really tried to highlight, is that there are so few resources available for teens who are battling addiction, but also who are battling mental health in general. And that is really a tough situation, a tough issue for us here in Las Vegas. Your foundation, we have an opportunity to talk about that, maybe can provide some help along the lines of filling some of the gaps that our community is really struggling with right now.
Yeah, our foundation has really done well over the last 3 years of helping people in the age from 18 to 26. We've been able to provide over $900,000 in grant funding for treatment scholarships. That equates out to 52 people that have gone through and graduated and at least just been given a chance to gain some new tools, gain some experience, vocalize their traumas, whatever it may be, to help them heal. And looking to hopefully expand that vision into helping these teens because they don't have a lot of resources. They're either going to Utah or California. There's nothing in their community right around that they could walk to or drive to that can serve them in the way they need to be served, and that's something that needs to be addressed.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we don't have, compared to our peers, a lot of places that provide substance abuse treatment assistance, and so I think we have about 109. When you look at Utah, they have 333 treatment facilities, and so that's the harm because research shows that kids, if they're going through substance addiction recovery, like it helps them to be close to their family. We have a lot of families here in Las Vegas that are like sending their kids to a treatment facility in Utah. So all the help that you can give to keep them here. I mean, it's tremendous for our community, so thank you.
And Darren, that's really along the same lines. The question I had next is, what are the key things if someone is facing addiction or is battling addiction and they're going to try to move into recovery, what are the key things that they need right off the bat, especially a young person? What do you need to get from the addiction side to the recovery side? Is it support? Is it counseling? Is it where do you begin?
I believe it starts with a level of honesty and awareness, and to ask maybe teenagers to be fully aware and honest of themselves may be a tall task because I was a teenager once, and
we all were.
I know I wasn't that, but it takes a level of responsibility as well to be like, okay, like I do have an issue, and not attach shame to it or like you're at fault,
right?
And so, which also lies into the support side where it's like, we don't think there's anything wrong with you. We just want to see you be the best possible version of yourself, and we feel like this may be keeping you stagnant. This may be keeping you stuck. And so just an honesty on the part of the person that may be in the struggle, and just a loving support and compassion and kindness and patience from the support system around them. I feel like that lays the foundation for somebody to go into treatment and be more accepting and open-minded towards it.
Darren, can you share some of your own experience in that process? How did that work for you, and what did that look like?
So I overdosed in 2017, August 11th, and I went to a addiction specialist, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to go to treatment immediately." And so there was something in my mind. I was like, I don't know, like treatment's for crazy people, like treatment's for a certain group of people.
Sell,
like I'm a professional, I'm a college graduate, but addiction doesn't discriminate. So it took an honesty and awareness on my part to be like, I'm no better than anybody else. I have an issue, and it's holding me back from putting my best version of myself on display. I need to swallow my pride and give this a chance, because nothing I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
And going into treatment with a little bit of open-mindedness allowed me to go in there and just to see the power of honest sharing and one-on-one treatment, group therapies, how transformational those are. Because you carry so much baggage around, you carry so much pain and shame and guilt around. When you're able to let those things go, you just feel lighter. You start to feel more joy in simpler things that you may have lost complete joy in. It just starts to slowly trickle back in if you're patient enough and just stick with the process.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, is it vital that the support you get come from family or counseling, or where should that come from, or does it really matter at that point?
It's wide ranging. You know, there's so many people that are vital in my experience. There were people on the staff with the Baltimore Ravens, like team clinicians and psychiatrists, that helped me to bridge that gap and give treatment a try. My parents were there every step of the way. I had friends that were there for me. Going into 12-step programs and getting sponsorship, and people that are in mentor roles, and also making friends with people that are on the same path as me, that are trying to stay sober, that are trying to grow in their recovery. It's your village continues to expand, and there's so many different people that can serve you in different ways on your journey, because it's impossible to do alone.
Right. You just got to take that step. You've got to step out there and do it.
Well, I love what you said, because it really, it's so important to support the families, because you do need a village, right? So having that, again, being in a treatment facility close to home, but then having your friends and family there to support the recovery, because it's a family affair. So I love that. Just underscores the importance of having that wraparound community support.
Definitely.
Darren, I think one of the strong messages from you is that there's hope out there. You're someone who is at the elite level of athletes, and you were able to move through this. And I think that just sends a message to everyone out there who might be battling addiction that there's hope. There's an opportunity out there to get out of where you are and get onto the road to recovery. But sometimes I think, and maybe you can speak to this, I think I've heard addicts say, you just feel hopeless, though. You feel like there's no way out of the spiral that you're in. But you've proven that that's not necessarily the case, is it?
Right. Yeah, I've been there. I feel like you failed too much. Like, I've done too much to, restore my reputation, or to be back in a place of good standing amongst my community and people that loved and respected me. But all I did was, kind of throw it back in their face. But yeah, people may see me being on the Las Vegas Raiders and being successful in my football career and think it was always that way, but it was always a lot of failure. There's a lot of times my team couldn't rely on me, the organization couldn't rely on me because of my behavior. But no matter how many times I did that, there was still an opportunity for me to create a way to come back and to create a new life for myself. So I just try to convey that message to people, that I'm successful, but it's by no means a perfect success. And it doesn't have to be that way for you to have an impact.
That's a wonderful message, because it's like, I'm not going to be perfect immediately. I'll probably stumble, but that's okay as long as I'm trying to get to the ultimate goal. Darren, people in recovery, are you in recovery the rest of your life? Is that pretty much how it plays?
That's what I believe. Yes, I believe that addiction, and I'm suffering from a disease of mind and body, and there's just certain things that I can't do. There are certain people that can drink or do drugs and put it down and do it recreationally and not, tear their lives apart. I'm not one of those people, and I respect that, but I also see it from the perspective of what recovery gives me, not more so than what it takes away from me.
Yeah, exactly. And wonderful NFL career. He's married to Kelsey Plum. You've probably heard of her. Wonderful wife, wonderful family. Yeah, got to go with that versus staying with the addiction, the drugs. Darren, tell us about the foundation. I know Councilwoman is so excited because of the resource it adds to our community. And as she mentioned earlier, our community has a lack of resource, especially for young people. Let's talk a little bit about that. Tell us about the foundation and more about how it's having an impact on our community.
Yeah, so the Darren Waller program, the main thing that we do is we have a program called Against the Wall. And it's people like me that have their back against the wall and need help, need to turn towards treatment. And we were able to offer that gift, like I said, to 52 people now that I've been able to go through and experience that. But we've also been able to expand that into aftercare resources, allowing sober living environments where there are people there that hold them accountable, that help them to, get jobs and just transition back into society, as opposed to going 30 days and just be like, all right, you're on your own. It's like we're sticking with you in this process and helping you transition back safely into society. So those are the main things that we do. We also do some wall talk events where it's essentially like a TED Talk, but it's really just me sharing my strength, experience, and hope with high schools, young kids. We went to Nellis Air Force Base a few times. So just getting in front of them, interacting with them, and sharing some of the message of just like it's not about perfection or a success that has no failure in it.
Right.
It's you need every part of it.
Yeah.
For our young people who are listening, do they go to your website? Is there an application process if their family needs some help sending them to a treatment center? How does that work for one of our young people who's listening?
Yeah, so every information that you need as far as grants, as far as any type of support for the foundation, it's darrenwaller.org. You'll have all the information that you need there, and we're looking forward to giving out as many grants as we possibly can to help these people. We want to give everybody a chance.
Darren plays for the Giants now, but still Las Vegas is home. And you have been such an integral part of our youth programs in our Parks and Rec program. You've been out with the kids and just setting such a wonderful example for them, and not just as an athlete, but just as a human being and as a person. And it's just amazing to see just the impact that you've had with those kids. And I'm sure it's an even bigger impact with people maybe struggling with addiction as well. Tell us how gratifying that is for you as someone who's been down that path.
Yeah, I mean, just starting with the kids, I just know if I put myself in those kids' shoes, how cool it would be to have somebody that's in my position to come hang out with them and give them high fives and run through drills with them and just tell them that they're doing great and give some advice and encourage them. Try to put myself in their shoes and continue to put myself in the shoes of people that are still suffering. I'm approaching 6 years.
Good for you.
In
Congratulations.
recovery. Thank you. But I know the way that I continue on this path is by putting myself in the shoes of the person that just decided they wanted to stop using today or just stopped yesterday. Right. Keeping that fresh perspective, that beginner's mind. So, and I can only do that by interacting with them and being in close proximity to them and serving them. And that's something that I plan on doing because at the end of the day, it might help me more than it helps them.
Interesting you say that because not everybody does what you do. Not everybody gets out with the kids. Not everybody has a foundation to help people through a problem that they've experienced themselves. You've gone those extra steps that many don't do, and I think that's just it's had such an impact on our community in just a variety of ways. And
it's like turning your own tragedy or experience into really sort of growing hope and planting seeds for our entire community. So we're very grateful.
Yeah, all the way around. And Darren, too, I think that's so impressive with your recovery. Playing tight end is one of the most difficult positions in the game because you've got to be big enough to block, but you've also got to be fast enough and good enough to catch passes. And so it's an amazingly hard position. And then to have gone through everything you've gone through and then come out on the other side of it like you have is just really admirable all the way around. And if what you've demonstrated can be lived through other kids who are maybe facing the same thing, boy, that's just what an amazing accomplishment all the way around.
Thank you.
We're running low on time, Councilwoman. Is there anything else you'd like to ask Darren, and then we'll give him the final word here?
Well, I guess I was wondering, what would you tell young people if they are, sort of hesitant to think about therapy? I think there's still a stigma about asking for help.
No question.
Or conversely, parents don't often know kids are really good about hiding things, and so what should I as a parent be thinking about? Really watching for with my kid if I'm concerned or don't know what he or she is doing.
I would say things to watch for is probably increased irritability. If I'm looking at myself in the mirror from when I was a kid, extremely irritable, very isolated. I would say those two off the jump is
Those are some red flags.
very signs to look for early on.
So what do you do as a parent then, Darren? What should you do if you notice that within your child? Talk to him about it immediately, or what should you do?
So what I've noticed as far as a parent that I would want to be, I know that kids tend to hide things a lot, but I notice like adults hide a lot of things as well. And just like from their experiences, nobody necessarily wants to be out in front and share things that they may be ashamed of from their past, but I feel like being able to share my experience and be like, hey, I felt what you felt, not like, oh, why are you acting like this? Why we need you to do better or snap out of it. It's just
right.
I've been where you've been, and this is what I felt, and kind of creating a common ground for them. So maybe they won't be so isolated from me. Maybe they might come to me a little bit more. I don't know. I can't control them, but I just want to be able to offer that honest and open environment as opposed to maybe talking down to them.
Yeah.
And now I know why you're so effective in talking to young people. That was just that approach.
Yeah. That level of understanding.
Yeah, really powerful.
Darren, we have about a minute or so. I'll give you the final word in our discussion. Anything else you'd like to add about the foundation, yourself, just recovery in general?
I'd love to double down on just thanking the Las Vegas community and how much they've supported me since I moved here. And even though that I split time now, being on the East Coast and here, how much they support me, they support my wife, my family, anytime they're in town. And just the vision of this foundation, it's not something that I can do by myself, just talking about it. I need people that really have boots on the ground and are really familiar with this community and really care about this community to help out. And this city has really shown up for me, so I want to say thank you to them. And I just want to challenge people to, if they're supporting people that are in addiction and just the issue overall, that it's not an overnight issue. It's something that we may not see completely transform in our lifetime, but let's continue to give to this so, future generations will be able to reap the benefits and see, real peace and real hope in their lives that aren't affected by addiction and the statistics as we are now. So let's just stay the course.
So well said. And Councilwoman, I'm thinking that he's thanking the community. I'm thinking we should be thanking him too.
I mean, it speaks to your character. So, and we're hoping to work with the foundation, really, as I've mentioned, we're trying to lead some conversations about how we invest the opioid settlement funds. And so I think there's a natural partnership, and I love that you're so invested, because I know we'd love to work with you to sort of figure out where are the gaps and how we can continue supporting the work that you're doing and the young people you're touching.
The good work you're doing, continue that. Keep that
whatever it takes.
Well, thank you, Darren Waller, for joining us today. We need to take a short break, but when we return, we'll share some great upcoming events in Ward 6, so please stay with us.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Councilwoman Nancy Brune from Ward 6, and we have some events we want to be sure to tell you about. You've got some cool ones coming up. 4th of July, it's right around the corner. So, we don't want people shooting off fireworks in their neighborhoods, Councilwoman. We want them to come to your wonderful show.
And they do. I think
right.
we had like 12,000 people there last year.
Exactly. It was a home run. It was a great event. You posted this on Facebook. You said, Councilwoman Frances Allen Polensky and Councilwoman Nancy Brune invite you to join them for our 4th of July celebration. Lots of family fun. This is going to be out at Floydland Park at Tule Springs.
And it's extra special because it's going to be the only fireworks party where the music is synchronized with the fireworks. So no one else is going to be able to claim that.
I've heard. So that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and we're adding some new features this year. So we'll have some, it'll be hot. So we'll have some cool water slides and fun water things for the kids.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So again, that'll be 4th of July.
Yes.
That's going to be on, that's a Tuesday this year, right? Tuesday,
starting
4th of July.
Starting at 6.
6 o'clock out there. And this event, 12,000 is what turned out last year. I bet we get even more than that this year. So that's really cool. Again, 4th of July out at Floydland Park at Tule Springs, 6 o'clock. Bring the family. Bring a blanket.
Bring a blanket.
Yeah.
The best thing, one of the reasons why people love going out to Floydland Park is you can actually see the fireworks from wherever you are in the park.
Exactly. So you don't have to be like right up front or something
next
like
to
that.
The stage.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And again, folks, we say this each time, but please don't fire off the fireworks from your neighborhood. That's become such a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's a fire hazard
It is.
too.
Fires get started. People get hurt. Property is damaged. Yeah. So it's illegal. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't shoot fireworks in your neighborhood. Come out to Floydland Park. It's free, isn't it?
It's free.
Yeah, you're not even have to pay.
Yes.
Just come out. Your tax
most
dollars
of our
at work.
city events are free,
Yeah.
David. I think people forget that we're spending a lot of money to make sure that we can offer really fun, family-friendly events at no cost to our residents.
Yeah, this is their tax money.
Yeah,
coming back around.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And Councilwoman, it's hard to believe that we're already talking about back to school. Sorry,
Yes.
kids. But yeah, we have a splash back to school party coming up. This is also a school supply drive, right?
Yes.
On Friday, July 28th. School starts early
It
in
does.
Clark
It
County.
starts August 6th. So this is our first Splash Back to School party that we're hosting in Ward 6. And because it is so close to the start of the CCSD school year, we are going to have a school supply drive. And the great thing is will be whatever supplies we collect, we will be giving to Child Haven, the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, and Foster Kinship. So some of our kids that don't have, the family support or access to resources can go back to school ready and prepared to learn. So we're really excited about that. And at our event, we will be raffling off a couple of bikes and some really cool, fun prizes. So hopefully you'll come out and swim and have a chance to win a new bike.
And kids,
to ride to school on.
Exactly. So we're going to mix fun with the reality of having to go back to school at some point. So, great. Win a bike this time. And again, free event. Come on out. Yeah, I'd love to have you out there. So again, everyone, that's going to be Friday, July 28th from 5 to 7. This is going to be the Centennial Hills Community Center and YMCA pool there on Buffalo. That is a great facility, by the way. Plenty of room, lots to see and do out there. It's a wonderful, wonderful pool. Yeah. So, I'll have everybody come out. And 2 people are going to win a bike?
Yep.
Wow, nice.
Only a couple of bikes.
Very nice. Well, that's very cool all the way around. Well, Councilwoman, we're about out of time here. It's been a great show. We always want to tell you out there, hey, we want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with Councilwoman Brune, you can find her on Facebook and Twitter. She's very active. You can also contact her by calling 702-229-6405, or you can send her an email. Her address is nbrune@lasvegasnevada.gov, and she or one of her great staff will get right back to you. And we get a lot of questions about things that really don't have to do with the city, but we guide everybody in the right direction, whether it's
we respond to everything.
We always do. We're very helpful. You have great staff too.
We do.
You got Chance and you got Mateo and you got Daniel. They're all outstanding. So they'll take care of you, I promise. Well, it's been a great show. We'll have you back in 6 weeks with another update from Ward 6. We'll be here before we know it. Gosh, we'll be heading
into the holiday season, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And school will be back in session and pretty much at that point. So enjoy the summer, kids. It's going by quickly, and look forward to talking to you then.
Thanks, David.
We want to thank you for joining us. Our next Access City Council show begins airing on July 6th with Ward 1 City Councilman Brian Knutson. He's also our Mayor Pro Tem now, by the way. You can catch all of our KCLV shows on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire, and watch for our QR code in the closing credits of this show to subscribe to our newsletter. And don't forget, you can always watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around.